Be warned that once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink from McDonald's and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink from McDonald's is, you may create drink envy. Because there are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's.
For a morning brew that really creates a stir, get any size iced coffee, including caramel and French vanilla, for just 99 cents before 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts next weekend. For 3 days only, next Friday through Sunday, get 20% off. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale, too. 20% off starts next Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Odoo is business management made so simple, a kid could explain it.
Sometimes business software can't talk to other programs. But Odoo, funny word, has every program from CRM to HR to accounting in one platform. It should cost a lot, but it doesn't. So you should use Odoo because they save you money.
Odoo makes a lot of sense, but doesn't cost a lot of sense. Sign up now at odoo.com.
That's ODOO.com.
Good job.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. It's Amanda Rieger Green. Welcome to Soul Sessions. Today, I am going to focus on the second half of July, the energy, the Capricorn Full Moon, the sun moving into Leo, and the numerology, how it's playing out for you. We are in very transformative times. If you think back, and I want everybody to take a little bit of time, you might want to pause the podcast after this. So I want you to think back to the summer solstice, which was on June 21st. And you can go back to the Soul Sessions episode that I did. It was the summer solstice Capricorn Full Moon episode. And if you recall, we had a full moon at 1 degree of Capricorn. So the moon was at 1 degree of Capricorn and the sun was at 1 degree of Cancer on the 21st on the solstice. And what I shared is on the 21st of July, we have a repeat. We have another full moon in Capricorn. And this time, we are at the very last degree of Capricorn and Cancer. So the sun is almost out of Cancer, about to move into Leo on the 21st of July. And the moon will be in its polarity of Capricorn at 29 degrees. This is extremely pertinent and relevant on a multitude of levels. First of all, whenever we get 2 new moons or full moons in the same sign in a calendar year, and they're sequentially when they happen, and they usually fall at 1 or 2 degrees. But when we get those, it's like we get this double lesson or this repeat. It's emphasized a little bit more. So we get to work on, revisit and review or drill down a little bit deeper in that energy. But why this is even more significant is we will have Pluto pretty soon here retrograding from Aquarius back into the 29th degree of Capricorn. And once it's in that 29th degree, which we call the anaretic degree, the last degree, it immensifies and intensifies things in that sign and with that astrological sign's attributes. But Pluto will back up into Capricorn a little bit, and then it will move direct and go back into Aquarius. And once it enters Aquarius, it'll be in Aquarius the next 20 years. And it's significant on the world stage, on a consciousness level. But for us personally, how do we navigate this? So my first suggestion is I want you to reflect back to that last bit of June from, arbitrarily around the 18th, 19th of June to the last of the month, and think about what was going on and go back to that podcast and some of the questions I asked and raised. And a lot of the insight that was coming through was around facing your fears, really looking at what was coming up, getting clear around the nature of your fears and seeing how you can alchemize it, seeing how you can transform it and create growth. So it's about reevaluation. So that said, in these 30 days, in this month span of time, what fears have you faced? What came up for you? Where have you grown? Where has your perspective shifted? And Capricorn is about responsibility. Capricorn's about a lot of things, but I think about taking personal responsibility, and we have such strong energy in 2024 around reclaiming our personal sovereignty, our agency, and Capricorn is a powerful archetype to exert that under because of its determination, its strength, its leadership. Capricorn is also about the bigger picture of our reputation, how people see or perceive us from afar. From up close, when somebody sees or perceives us, that's more of our personality, how we come across to the people that we interact on a daily basis. But Capricorn is more about the bigger picture, and it's even deeper than that. It's about our legacy, our destiny. And if we are manifestors or co-creators of our own reality, how are we exerting our own agency and taking personal responsibility? And I'm smiling when I say this because for me, where I see the biggest advantage and then I see the greatest growth and healing is in shifting my perspective, getting less rigid and getting more curious, more flexible. And Capricorn, by the way, is not about flexibility and curiosity. It's about let's get business done. Let's take care of it. Let's do it practically. So it's really interesting. And with the sun in Cancer, and of course, this first full moon back in June happened on the solstice, that beautiful time of year when we have a changing of season, it's been a very rich time to pay attention to our emotional quality and our practical action. And that's what's going to be reiterated and emphasized in a little bit of a different way for this full moon. So take some time to reflect over the last 30 days. What's shifted for you? What have you transformed? What fears have you faced? What have you learned about yourself? And where have you taken responsibility or practical action in that sense? I know for me, if I think back, I can point to a multitude of things. But one major growth point I have seen for myself, and I have articulated this in numerous conversations to people who are very close to me, family, is I have seen a massive difference in my sense of peace and calm from the inside out, like almost in my unconscious. I have been, and if you know me, and I know I've shared this on the podcast, I'm a very driven person. I jump in, I get things done. You know, an old version of me was definitely always hustling, always striving and driving and achieving. I mean, a kind of addicted to achievement, overachievement. And I'm recognizing that in my spirit, yes, do I want to accomplish things? Do I want to contribute? Do I want to give back? Yes, but I really find so much more value, joy, fulfillment when I am contributing from a place of neutrality or peace. And where I've seen the biggest healing for me and recognition is in my central nervous system and my unconscious. I've had a lot on my plate the last 30 days. Nothing tragic and major, just life, responsibility, getting things done, taking care of business. We just launched the Conscious Collective and have an amazing crew. And there's my day-to-day work and the podcast. I mean, I could make the list for y'all. And then personal responsibilities. I've had a couple of trips with family and there's been a lot going on. But I have seen a noticeable difference in myself around having a lot on my plate being abundant, and me feeling just at peace, getting things done, it being more fluid and flexible and graceful, and also not needing to overcompensate, double check my emails, get back on things. That underlying frenetic energy is starting to dissipate. And I'll tell you what came to me in a lot of reflection, and I've gotten to spend time with my siblings. I've had 2 different sibling trips in the past 30 days. And it's been incredible to spend intentional time, which very much lines up with the numerology this month. And I'll get into the numerology in a bit. So I love how this aligned, and I've been able to make intentional time amidst a jam-packed, abundant schedule, I haven't felt very stressed about it. But in talking to my siblings who have known me since I came onto the planet, and we've gone through many iterations of our relationships and highs and lows, but we know each other well, I felt more peaceful and at ease, even when things were busy or there was a lot of external hustle, bustle, chaos, things happening. There was this underlying sense of peace rather than that kind of frenetic push of, I've got to get something done. I need to get something done. Amanda, you should be. And that's what I want to point out to everybody, that energy of you should be doing this. You need to be doing this. You've got to get this done, even when you're ahead of schedule or you don't need to hustle up and get it done right now. That's what I've been noticing. And there's been a massive transformation. And did that just happen over the last 30 days? No. It's the culmination of a lot of healing and attention and intention over really, for me, I would say the last couple of years. And I've seen a difference, but my nervous system feels healthy for maybe the first time in maybe ever. And what I was going to point out is I think when I came onto the planet, I was peaceful. Listen, I'm a Libra sun and moon, so there is this element of harmony and balance and flow, and I came here to find balance, peace, harmony, and flow. I mean, it's hardwired into my blueprint, and astrologically, it's like I'm remembering what I was supposed to be versus all the conditioning I absorbed and the stories I told myself. It's funny because my producer Elizabeth and I were talking about behaviors and how we ingest and digest behaviors from the people around us, our family, our environments. And one of the things she shared with me is that when you hear negative feedback or criticism, I'm not talking about constructive feedback, I'm talking about negative, oh, you didn't do this right, or you're not doing this well enough. As a child or even as an adult, sometimes it can take 7 or more positive reinforcements to normalize or equalize. And if we reflect on that, I think this is so poignant of figures in our life who might have been overbearing or demanding or having ridiculously high expectations or controlling where nothing was ever good enough. And I certainly had that in my life. And there's no shade with that. It's just the truth. And there's no anger around it. But realizing when somebody says, hey, you did a good job, to take that in, to receive it, to believe it, to feel it, to know it, to trust it. And that takes practice, by the way, for a lot of us, has for me. But then when somebody says you're not doing enough or you're not good enough or you didn't do it right, can you autocorrect and then slough it off and not need 7 more positive reinforcements? And not that any of that is right or wrong, good or bad, but thinking that way, that always helps me in realizing I'm still rewiring my brain, but I feel like something has clicked in this inner peace. And I read something a long time ago, probably something astrological, talking about my Libra moon. Wherever your moon is in your chart is really where your soul is, your unconscious is, the essence of you, what you are in your soul. And if I'm a Libra in my soul, the way that it was stated is I am looking for that peace that passes all understanding, for that to be the undercurrent within how I show up, to have a peace or a neutrality or even a quantum. I mean, if I want to up-level it in my rhetoric or my language, a quantum sense about me, not that I'm just walking around all quantum all the time, but I mean, to me, it's like, oh, how quickly, how resiliently, that speaks to the 8 numerology of this year, can I get back into harmony, cohesion, balance? And I feel like it's becoming more natural and hardwired, so to speak, even though it's soft. It's like hardwired where I'm feeling more peaceful and the anxiety is starting to minimize. Doesn't mean I don't get stressed or I don't experience anxiety, but it's quelling quicker. So just notice for you what's coming up. And it doesn't have to be something so deep as your unconscious is shifting and changing and you're, becoming who you were intended to be in this lifetime. But I encourage you to look at what has shifted in your perspective. Look at what you've transformed or have become aware that you want to transform within your life. And I've seen it in a multitude of other people, of things that are shifting and growing. And I've seen a lot of big, significant shifts for people, especially in clients I've worked with for quite some time. There's about 8 or 9 people who I've talked to in the last month who I just was blown away by in their recognitions of what has consciously and unconsciously shift, and they just know something and embrace it, or have a strong resolve around, yeah, this is what I learned, or this is what I defaulted into, or this is the coping mechanism, and that's not really who I am. Okay, I can work with this now. This is a non-negotiable. I have a great client, and I'm laughing. She's so intelligent, and the work that she does is tremendous. It's very service-oriented. She's in academia, and she works in the area of trauma and education around trauma and mass trauma like genocide or sex trafficking, and working with educating counselors and people that are getting PhDs to help become trauma therapists and counselors. And so that's her realm. So, of course, she's extremely cognizant, sensitive, intelligent. I mean, there's multiple facets. And then she's just human, like any of us, right? We've all got our stuff. And she has a powerful voice. Does she always use it? And listen, I'm going to just tell you, she's an air sign. She's a Gemini, just like me over here, the Libra, which all of us tend more towards acquiescing and people-pleasing or not wanting to rock the boat. And as of late, she's been using the phrase, well, that's not going to work for me. And it's as simple as that. And she said it in a personal circumstance, in a work circumstance, and then a friendship circumstance. Like, so family, friend, work. Well, that's not going to work for me. And we were laughing so hard. But the way that she said it, and as simple as that sounds, it was like she put her foot down. She said it. She meant it. She wasn't being ugly. She wasn't being disrespectful. It was like, okay, well, that's not going to work for me. So let's reconvene on this, or let's have another meeting and let's figure something else out, where usually she'd say, that's fine. And she and I always joke about that acronym for fine. It's effing insane, neurotic, and emotional, by the way, if you've never heard that acronym. So whenever she says, oh, it's fine, Amanda, I'm like, but is it really? Is it really fine, or are you hacked off? No, it'll be okay. It's fine. And now her line is, that's not going to work for me. And I'm like, yes, but this is huge. This is a huge transformation where she's putting her foot down, but there's not a fear around it, and there's not an anger. It's not coming from a place of fear. It's coming from empowerment, which speaks to the numerology this year. The 8's starting to get its momentum right now, and the energy is speeding up. We are in a 6-month, July is a 6-month in numerology in an 8 universal year. And if you remember back to the July energy forecast where I talk about the confluence of that energy, there's a lot of emotion because the 6 will wear its heart on its sleeve. It takes things personally because it is so giving and generous and service-oriented. And it really puts others first, but sometimes to its own detriment, where it's not oxygen mask on me first, or working on, do I have the energy? Have I taken care of myself? And then I get to be of service. And then I get to show up and give my gifts. So it's also, like I said, there's a sensitivity to it. And it's very much like Cancer energy. There's a lot of overlap with that energy. And when we mix that energy with the combination, like with the 8 energy, that is always in flux and always moving, swinging high to low at any given time, it's very emotional and it stirs things up. And that's one of the reasons, apart from the astrology, I was encouraging everyone to pay attention to what is emotionally creating or wreaking havoc in your body, in your experience, in your awareness, in your relationships, your interactions, so you can really level up your emotional intelligence, your feeling body, and utilize Cancer and the 6 energy, but do it in a way where you're harnessing the energy of the 8, which is saying, how do I reclaim my sovereignty, my agency, my authority, and find a sense of momentum and empowerment, strides forward, and motivation. And also resolve. Resolve and resiliency. Those two R's right there, I have found to be the cornerstone of this year. So resolve being like a determination, but it's a determination that is steady. Like, I've got this, I'm showing up, I'm doing things a day at a time. I may have long-range goals, shorter goals, aims, aspirations. What am I doing today to impact that? And can that be enough? And then the resiliency of when I go into that old thinking, I should be doing this, I need to be doing this, or I'm worried I'm not enough, or maybe I'm an imposter, or people don't believe me, whatever, old fear-based rhetoric, or it's fine. We'll use that one. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Whenever that rhetoric comes up, can you actually squash that and say, oh, what kind of dis-ease or disruption, disharmony is this creating in my body? Because when the 6 energy is in its highest vibration and its alignment, it creates a tremendous amount of cohesion and harmony. Not unlike the energy of Libra, it's cohesive and harmonious. And when you add the empowerment and the impact, the risk and reward, the faith over fear of the energy of the 8, it's like rocket fuel for up-leveling your consciousness, really seeing the impact you can make and have to make when you focus within your own framework and you reclaim your personal responsibility. So just think about that. And remember what I said is that energy of the 6 and the 8 will be my feelings got hurt, or feeling like a victim, or taking things personally, or they don't like me, or they left me out, blame. You're hearing me. I'm like, they don't like me. They don't love me. And noticing that and not looking at it as something to shame yourself over, but more, it's like claim it and say, that's what that is. That's that self-pity. I'm feeling like a victim. Life isn't fair. But it's more about, no, I feel that way. Let me honor it. What can I do about it? How resiliently can I be in shifting my perspective and taking action? And that leads into the full moon. So we've got a full moon, second full moon, like I mentioned, Capricorn, on the 21st of July.
For 25 years, Brightview Senior Living Associates have been committed to creating a vibrant culture and delivering exceptional services, making Brightview a great place to work and live. If you're looking for a rewarding opportunity to serve your local community and grow, we want you to join our team. Brightview Senior Living is growing and actively seeking vibrant associates to join our community teams, including directors, healthcare, activities, hospitality, and dining. Apply today at careers.brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal employment opportunities. Text BV Jobs to 97211 to apply.
You're probably careful with your personal information, but what about the other places that have it? Like the doctor's office that mixed up your files. They have your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport info. Your information is in endless places out of your control. Any one of them could accidentally expose you to hackers and identity theft through lax security, breaches, or simple mistakes. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second and alerts you to a wide range of threats. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back, with plans covering up to $3 million for stolen funds and expenses. Mistakes happen. Don't let not having protection be one of them. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/iHeart. That's LifeLock.com/iHeart to save up to 40%. Terms apply.
MITRE is investing in a massive AI supercomputer to power a new federal AI sandbox. With AI's potential to drive transformational advances across industries, MITRE's expertise in healthcare, cybersecurity, transportation, finance, climate, and national security will be critical. Transform your career while helping solve problems for a safer world. Visit mitre.org/careers. That's MITRE.org/careers.
So we've got a full moon, second full moon, like I mentioned, Capricorn, on the 21st of July, and it is at 5:17 a.m. Central Standard Time, And I've said this before, but I'm going to repeat it because it's important. If you're working with full or new moon energy or astrological aspects, you want to work with that energy. You can notice what's going on prior to the exact moment of the aspect, but especially for a full or new moon, you want the aspect to be exact, and that's when you set your intentions, or very soon after that you set your intentions. So it's not about setting intentions the day before a full moon or 2 hours or 10 minutes before the new moon or full moon. You set it at the time of or after. So since it's so early in the morning, when you wake, depending on where you are in the world, let me say that because it's later in the day if you live farther to the east and all different times on the globe. So you can do the math that way. But if you do live in the United States or in this part of our world, it's in the morning. So you'll wake up on the 21st and it's a really good day, and it's Sunday, to set some intentions, and it's a full moon. It's a time of healing and awareness and closure about letting go of anything that is creating a power play, power dynamic, or power struggle in your life. And I feel like we can look at the world stage and what's going on politically and economically. There's a lot going on the global stage. And of course, in the United States right now, which most everybody knew was about to gear up, and it's about to intensify in a multitude of ways. We're just starting to see more turmoil. I think it's going to become more rapid fire more often. So a big question right now is, where can you, first of all, recognize power struggles within yourself and within your relationship dynamics, and whether those are immediate relationships, so family or coworkers, friendships, or it's on the bigger scale, power dynamics with how you view anything, the environment. And where I want you to be mindful of things is where you say something is right or wrong, good or bad. Oh, the way you're doing it is wrong. Or they don't really know what they're doing. When you do that, you move into polarity. Any way you slice it. And hello, we're human. We have opinions. It's imperative to have our voice and our truth. But I know for me, I work on saying, I may not agree with that, or that frightens me, or that's insane. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations recently about insanity, of course, in politics and things that are going on. And that's insane. But I shy away from that's right or wrong or good or bad. And I move to, what am I not seeing? What is this diverting my attention from? Or what is this evoking in me that is creating something very rigid and dogmatic? And that's where I feel power plays in, whether, again, it's personal or global, come into play. And this full moon is very poignant. It's going to be a rough handful of months. And the energy is speeding up. And I want you to notice what is really inciting anger or frustration or, I know best, superiority. And that's a big one when you can notice superiority in your behavior. I easily can notice my own judgment and self-righteousness, but superiority to me just exacerbates it and takes it to a new level. But it's funny, I started looking at those things within myself, and then 2 or 3 people showed up around me and their behaviors were that of superiority. And so what I noticed for myself, and they weren't doing things to me on purpose, but I'm very observant with people, and I've been with family, by the way, for the last couple of weeks. And so I'm always looking and reading energy and how I respond or react to things. And what I noticed in superior behaviors is what it triggers in me or evokes within me is shame. I'm not right. I'm not doing something right. I'm not good enough, or I'm bad. And guess what? I didn't like how that felt. This is not about me judging somebody. Believe me, I judged for a hot minute or maybe more than a hot minute. But then my resilient response was, Amanda, how can you add in some compassion, be a little bit easier, and how can you shift your perspective or see what this is diverting your attention away from? So anything that is fear-based in a power struggle that you experience for yourself is actually diminishing your consciousness. It's lowering you back down to like a 3D level of consciousness. It is taking away your agency or your sovereignty. And that fear is creating disempowerment. And that's the converse of what we are embracing this year: empowerment, agency, sovereignty, authenticity, truth. And remember how I've brought up how my dad would say the cream rises to the top. When he would say that, he wasn't saying that do nothing. Be who you are. Show your integrity through your actions and through the consistency of your actions. Show up as who you are. Be an example. It will work out the way it's supposed to if you act in your highest integrity, if you show up and make an amends, if you show up and demonstrate XYZ with kindness. You are inclusive with people, whatever scenario. I'm just throwing things out there. So really, really think about that. This full moon, just before the full moon, on the day before the full moon, July 20th, Mars moves from Taurus, where it's been for the last couple of months or so, into Gemini. Hold on to your seats, because Gemini, of course, is about communication. It's the right and left hemispheres of the brain. It's information gathering and sharing. It's Speedy Gonzalez energy with the mind and actions and thinking and writing. But when Mars, the aggressor, the courageous warrior, the pioneering spirit, the fighter that gives us so much gusto comes into Gemini, I mean, it's a gust of communication and intellectual energy and sometimes not intellectual energy, because communication is not always smart, intelligent, wise. So we get a whole soup of a lot of chatter. And Gemini represents the media. And I want you to remember that, because Jupiter is also in Gemini. So Mars and Jupiter will both be in Gemini for the next couple of months or so. So just know, think before you speak, pause when agitated, reflect, gather the facts before you assume. This is a time where contempt prior to investigation will be at play. And when you see things on the news, when you see stuff on social media and it really aggravates you or gets you fired up, take a minute and walk away, digest it, maybe search for different facts or more facts before you jump to a conclusion, because it can also be a very erratic time within the media on a personal level, like on our personal social media and platforms, and then on a news level or a more global level where facts and things are flying. So seeking the truth comes from a place of intuition and discernment. So I want you just to remember, we've got a speeding up of the mind and energy that will be going on these next couple of months. So where can you slow down, breathe, gather the facts, double check yourself, and then also trust your wisdom, or say, hey, I'm not really sure about this. So before you get super angry, marinate on it a bit so you come from your place of authority or agency, and you come from your wisdom. You come from your cream rising to the top energy versus fighting to fight or fighting to be right. And you're wrong, because what that does is it brings us into that polarity energy rather than the confluence of and bringing things into balance. So just remember that.
For 25 years, Brightview Senior Living Associates have been committed to creating a vibrant culture and delivering exceptional services, making Brightview a great place to work and live. If you're looking for a rewarding opportunity to serve your local community and grow, we want you to join our team. Brightview Senior Living is growing and actively seeking vibrant associates to join our community teams, including directors, healthcare, activities, hospitality, and dining. Apply today at careers.brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal employment opportunities. Text BV Jobs to 97211 to apply.
MITRE is investing in a massive AI supercomputer to power a new federal AI sandbox. With AI's potential to drive transformational advances across industries, MITRE's expertise in healthcare, cybersecurity, transportation, finance, climate, and national security will be critical. Transform your career while helping solve problems for a safer world. Visit mitre.org/careers. That's mitre.org/careers.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts next weekend. For 3 days only, next Friday through Sunday, get 20% off. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale, too. 20% off starts next Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
The sun will move into Leo on the 22nd, so we get this burst of fire energy, and there's so much fun that comes with Leo energy, and it's about pleasure and play and creative self-expression, spontaneity. And listen, I tell you what, with the energy of the 6 and the 8 in numerology, it'll shift a little bit, so I would encourage you to bring in lighthearted energy into your day, so you find elements of play or whistle while you work energy, even when you have a hectic day or a lot on your schedule. How can you bring in an element of whimsy, pleasure, joy? And it may be as simple as treating yourself to something at the grocery store that is your absolute favorite that you haven't had for a while, or getting takeout from a restaurant. I don't know why I'm going to food as pleasure, but little things. Sometimes for me, little things create big, big joy. I also think about Leo as laughter, nostalgia, and games. So sometimes if you can't play games with other people, and I love to play games, I just did a lot of playing games with my siblings, and we had a ton of fun, and we're also super competitive. But it's in good fun, and we all love each other and had a great time doing it. But if you can't get together and play a card game with some people or have a game night, play games with yourself, play games with your intuition. I suggest this all the time because I do it in the car especially, is I play intuitive games where I say, okay, that car is going to take a left at this light, or that car is going to keep going and follow me this far. And I just go with it, but I'm either on or I'm not. And it's okay. I laugh about it. If I'm not aligned with the car taking a left and they keep going straight for another 5 miles, I just laugh about it and say I was off. And usually I'm off when I don't go with that first instinct. So what that game does is it helps strengthen your gut intuitive instinct, your grounded intuition, along with it kind of clicking in the mind. And I think this is a good time to harness it. And Leo, to me, gives us an oomph of spontaneity and fire. Another thing that I want to mention, Mercury will move into Virgo, which creates a lot of practicality, by the way. And I love that because it's like we get things done when Mercury loves to be in Virgo because it rules Virgo, just like it rules Gemini. And when Mercury is in Virgo, and it'll be in Virgo for the next little bit, and then it's going to retrograde back into Leo. So we've got a Mercury retrograde coming up. Not yet, more on that later. But when Mercury is in Virgo, there's always this ability for me, I notice it, to really have an oomph or a push around just taking care of business, getting bills paid. You know, when I open the cabinet under the kitchen sink and it looks disorganized, like just getting down on my hands and knees and just cleaning it out because I got like a wild hair. And then I feel that satisfaction of a job well done. So see if that shows up for you over the next few days before Mercury starts its retrograde and does some wild, wacky things just to rewire us, revise our game plan and our brain frequencies. The biggest thing I want to mention that is also happening at the time, at the end of the month and around the full moon, is Chiron, the asteroid Chiron, which is in Aries right now, is stationing to retrograde. And it's retrograding at 23 degrees of Aries. And when Chiron, which Chiron is in Aries for all of us, there's a big wound around the ego and your mighty I am. And it creates things like big self-doubt, disillusionment, imposter syndrome, feeling like you've lost your individuality. Who am I? What do I represent? What do I need? How do I take responsibility? A lot of I, me, Aries energy. So while Chiron retrogrades, it's a good time to really go within and reassess your inner sense of agency and authority. The North Node is also in Aries. There's a big push in the second half of 2024 to really reevaluate, reclaim your sense of agency and sovereignty. And with the sun in Leo, there's this element of go for it. I want to be seen. I want to be recognized, and I want to be free to be myself. So notice how that may or may not show up for you, and where you feel most like yourself and where you feel seen. I would also ask that question is, where do you feel seen? Who sees you? Who recognizes you? And when do you feel the most comfortable to be yourself? I think about that with my siblings. And today, maybe better than ever, I truly, for the most part, feel like I can be myself around them. And I say for the most part and watch all of them be like, well, when don't you feel that way? I mean, we all have moments where we kind of shrink or we hide parts of ourselves. I feel comfortable around them to truly be myself, the beauty of who I am and the messiness, and also know they love me. And they don't love me because of all the things I achieve or how I show up or how I communicate. They love me because of who I am and who I am to them. And that's not going to change. And that's just a level of security that has taken me a long time, like almost 44 years. I'll be 44 in October, to recognize, and a lot of pain to recognize the security that I have in my family. And that also requires the responsibility for me is to show up with my family, to communicate, to participate. So really asking yourself in the relationships where you feel seen, where you feel most comfortable being yourself, how do you participate? How do you make the effort to participate? I think this is a really good time for that. And I think it helps or will help with what we'll be feeling, experiencing around our ego and our mighty I am, with Chiron retrograding in Aries, the North Node in Aries, and some of the numerology as we move into the second half of the year. So it's a very poignant time. And before I wrap up, I just want to go back to the Capricorn Full Moon for a minute. And one of the practices that I'm thinking about that I think would be very helpful around the full moon is taking practical action around something that needs taking care of. Meaning, do you need new tires on your car? Do you need to go get your car inspected? Or have you been putting off a dialogue with someone? Have you, just procrastinated around cleaning something out? Whatever it may be, anything that you've been putting off that feels like it needs to be done, execute it, do it, and then feel, with the sun in Cancer, feel that sense of satisfaction of a job well done, but that's feel fulfilled in you taking practical action, you exercising your empowerment, your responsibility in a healthy way. Little bit of a teaser. Next week, I've got an exciting episode. I get so many amazing questions from listeners, and I have gotten a multitude of fantastic numerology questions lately, and I've had to put them all aside, and I told everybody, I was like, can I answer this on a podcast? Because these are really good questions. A couple of them are around significant dates, like the date of somebody's death or a wedding date, an anniversary date, and the numerology and how you interpret that and read that and what it means. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. Also, the significance of certain numbers from a loved one that has crossed over or died, and how to read and interpret and decode those signs or those messages and those numerology synchronicities, so to speak. I got this great question from a gal saying that she was really feeling the energy of the 8 universal year more than she was her personal year. And I'll outline that and detail it. But it was a fascinating question. I've experienced that before. There's a layered answer to it, but it's a great way to think about, and first of all, just her awareness around the energies and the vibrations and what was happening practically in her life and how it was creating a synergy in the numerology, but she asked a handful of really good questions. So those are just a few of the things that I will talk about numerologically. And last but not least, I will have the audio companion for the 2024 numerology guidebook out before August 1st. So it is on its way. So if you got the audio companion for the first half of the year, amazing. Thank you. I hope it was helpful. I shared that I was going to wait and record the second half of the year around this time, around July, because I knew the energy would shift and change. So I'm recording it right now. It's so different. And also really what's in the guidebook that is so helpful. This plays with it really well and kind of takes you up a notch. So be on the lookout. We'll have some more announcements around that later. It will be out end of the month. And if you don't know about the numerology guidebook, it is a 2024 guidebook. And even though we are smack dab in the middle of the year, you're not late to the game, because I do this for myself, and I have for years. When I look at my astrology or numerology, I don't just look at what's going on today. I look at what's going to happen or what's coming up or what I'll be seeing and will play out in the months ahead. But I also always look backwards and I put puzzle pieces together. I really start to connect dots and see parallels and understand things, and it just levels up my energy, my clarity, my consciousness, and my experience. It's like it takes it to another octave on both an intellectual and a consciousness level. So I find that helpful, and it's really good neurologically to do that. So anyway, definitely listen back to the solstice episode from June, because that might be very helpful around this full moon on July 21st. And just remember to pack a little bit of patience. We have a Mercury retrograde coming up next month, and we also have Mars in Gemini. So cool your jets, gather your facts, and really look at where you have the most opportunity to exercise your integrity, your agency, and your sovereignty versus overreacting, jumping to conclusions, or exercising a right-wrong attitude, a polarity, a dogma, because that's 3D. That's old stuff, and that's where we're going to be leveling up in the months ahead. And is it going to be easy? Probably not. Probably not. But is it going to be an incredible leap in consciousness? Heck yeah. Take care, everyone. Be well.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts next weekend. For 3 days only, next Friday through Sunday, get 20% off. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale, too. 20% off starts next Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
For 25 years, Brightview Senior Living Associates have been committed to creating a vibrant culture and delivering exceptional services, making Brightview a great place to work and live. If you're looking for a rewarding opportunity to serve your local community and grow, we want you to join our team. Brightview Senior Living is growing and actively seeking vibrant associates to join our community teams, including directors, healthcare, activities, hospitality, and dining. Apply today at careers.brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal employment opportunities. Text BV Jobs to 97211 to apply.
Does money stress you out? Let Facet flip your financial chaos into clarity.
Finding Facet immediately put us at ease.
Facet's innovative approach to financial planning ensures your money works as hard as you do, enabling members to experience the joys of having your finances in order.
And that makes us Facet for life now, I guess.
Visit Facet.com, FACET.com to learn more. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth is an SEC registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice. These testimonials are from current Facet members who are not compensated. All opinions are their own and not a guarantee of a similar outcome.